The following program is hosted by immature, irreverent, obnoxious, and often disgusting young men. Listener discretion is advised.
This time on Nude Clan, how many Mila Jovoviches will we see this time?
Shall we play a game?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Resident Evil Podcast Retrospective. I am your host, Caleb Schweiss.
I'm Joe.
I'm A4.
And today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Retribution, I think.
Retribution, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was wondering if you were going to remember the title of the fucking movie. I was
because
like,
they don't like the order.
When I heard the
pause.
pause, when he was like, "We're gonna be talking about what is it?" Like I could hear that like line of thinking going on. Yeah, Resident Evil Retribution.
Because the titles make no sense. It's like Resident Evil, then Apocalypse, then what? Extinction,
Yeah.
and then Afterlife, and then Retribution. And it's just like, sure, yeah, why not?
And then the
all over
final
the place.
chapter, and then Welcome to
Final
Raccoon
chapter
City.
prologue.
Yeah.
yeah, it just goes in a circle. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, sure did. Watched it last night because some people couldn't finish some Zelda. Also, Zach's not here.
Yeah.
He's trapped in the Shadow Temple right now, currently.
Who's Zach?
In real life, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got to the one after that.
Spirit Temple?
Yeah, I was getting real pissed at it because the Iron Giant that has that bitch in it was
the Iron
really,
Knuckle?
yeah, it was really hard to kill for some reason, and I died twice. And then getting back to it was a giant bitch because I kept grappling onto that treasure chest across the way to get to that side of the map, and for some reason I kept falling off. Like I did it like 3 times in a row, and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting so fucking mad at this stupid game.
Here's the pointer, by the way, because the Iron Knuckle is super slow. You can like bait them over to the pillars, and then when they swing at the pillars, it'll drop a bunch of hearts.
Yeah, but then you got to be up its ass to get the hearts. So
Yeah, those things are not a joke. And like, I would be good at killing it once, and then I would have to restart. I don't know, like restart the level or so. There's multiple. You have to fight multiple of those guys. And and then I would get like, all you have to do is fuck up twice, and you're dead. That's it.
yeah,
They're really slow. Like, I don't have the same issues.
No one cares, A4, that you beat this game before and can play it on an easier version now. No one cares that you find it easy. No shit.
I mean, I found it easy when I was 10 also, so...
Yeah. So, we're here to try to remember what happened in this stupid movie. I gotta ask though, Joe, is this gonna start a George A. Romero watch through for you? Because I know you watched Night of the Living Dead, but you never watched Dawn of the Dead or Day of the Dead.
No, never have. Why would this start that? Why?
I don't know. You just got
This would compel me to watch anything?
You got an itch for Dawn of the Dead. It's a great movie.
I've seen the remake.
The original one is definitely better.
Okay.
It doesn't have...
I really didn't like the remake when I watched it. I don't know. I watched it in high school, though, so it's been a long time.
Who did the remake? Was that James Gunn?
No, it was...
no, that was Zack Snyder.
Zack Snyder, yeah. That's like Zack Snyder's second best movie.
I knew it was like a douchebag. I just couldn't remember which douchebag.
Maybe third. I never watched the superhero one that he did. But...
I mean, all of it pales in comparison to the greatest film he's ever made, which is 300, so...
I think Watchmen is better than 300. I think a lot of things are better than 300.
I kind of think 300 is best, but I haven't watched Watchmen though. So
I haven't seen Watchmen since it came out.
Watchmen's a legit good movie. 300 it's an interesting movie. There's a lot of good things about 300. I don't think 300's a good movie personally.
The last time I watched it, I was like, this was way cooler when I was like 17. Now it's
300 is definitely like a movie that's only cool if you're 17. But I mean, I was 17 when it came out. So
I watched it too late, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, and also like it's been memed to death. So if you see it now, you're just like, oh, there's the Sparta thing. There's the tonight we dine in hell. It's all the yeah. Whereas like Watchmen changes a few things from the comic book, but I mean, still, I remember it being good. I liked it. I know there were a lot of like people who were really big fans of the comic when that movie came out, and they were like super like butt mad when it came out and changed some shit. But I was like,
you know what movie is worse than every Zack Snyder movie? The one we watched yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh my god. What has everybody been playing?
Yeah.
Go ahead, A4.
You're jumping at the gun. Go ahead, A4. Go ahead.
There was a second.
Go ahead, A4. Go ahead.
There was a second of silence. I took the initiative. It's a little laggy on my end, obviously, for you guys. So I was playing Ocarina of Time, as you do.
As you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That game is like putting on a warm blanket. It's just nice and fuzzy. Brings me back to.
Excuse you get heated.
Is it like being peed on? You'll have to tell me.
No, it's like being back in 1999 again. It's like before my parents got divorced. It's back when like.
Oh, that's why you like this game. Oh.
Well, I like it because it's a good game. But I mean, granted, yes, nostalgia does play a gigantic part of why I like this game. But also, trying to come into it with the perspective of someone who maybe had never played this game as a kid, I still find it incredibly charming in a lot of ways. Like aside from that, I'm trying as hard as I can to remove my nostalgia when playing this.
No,
so
I
that
like
I'm not
it
biased.
as nostalgia. That was better.
Nostalgia, yes. I have also been playing a indie game that came out called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, which is a game made by people to replicate Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, because Sega is seemingly never going to make another one of those. So they were like, fuck it, we'll do it. But it's like a cel-shaded, super low poly game where you're in a futuristic city. You go around and you do graffiti. You either can run around on free, like on your feet, or you can have rollerblades, bikes, or skateboards, which is, Jet Set Radio only had rollerblades. That was the whole point. But it's pretty cool so far. Really good soundtrack, really cool graphical style, really snappy, really fun. Just going like grinding on rails, finding different paths around the levels to get different collectibles and stuff. You like really have to look up a trailer to see. If you don't know what Jet Set Radio or Jet Set Radio Future are, you'd have to look up a trailer to get what I'm talking about, like the visual style. But like if you know what Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future are, there's basically a new one of those out. It's called Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, and it's fucking sick. And other than that, today I played maybe an hour of Grandia 2, which is a neat little RPG so far. Very, very standard, except for maybe its combat system, which kind of... It's like this weird mix of like active time where you're waiting for your character to do a move, but like your characters are moving around on a 3D space along with the enemies the whole time, and you don't really control that. You just kind of control like when they attack and what attacks they use. But you can use that to sort of like interrupt enemy attacks to try and gain an advantage. It's very interesting. I'm looking forward to playing more of that. It's got a very kind of like old school feel. I believe it was released on the Dreamcast, maybe the PS2, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
the Dreamcast. Yeah, but definitely has that like old school 6th generation charm to it. Very early 6th generation charm, where the graphics are like slightly better than PlayStation, but not quite as good as the PS2 could render, obviously. But I don't know, I like it so far.
Good. Can't wait to not play it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't think Jake's going to play it either, because when I tried telling him in the group chat, he just posted that gif of Bender going, ha 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 ha. Oh, wait, you were serious. Let me laugh even harder. Ha ha ha. So I might be reviewing this game by myself. I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, he'll come around. So,
all right.
What about you, Joe?
Well, this week. Okay, so last week. Let me talk about last week for a second. I was so adamant that I was gonna like plow through these games like crazy, and then I had a small vacation, and then I accidentally volunteered to read a bunch of scripts for to help out with like a film festival selection, like a local one, and then I had sound mixes from my movie, and so I have not played very much. I started Twilight Princess this week. That is what happened. So something I should be 2 weeks into right now, I started Twilight Princess. So I'm not happy about that. But, you know, it's there. I will say controls have aged a lot better than Ocarina of Time, thank God. It is almost the same game. That's also an interesting thing.
I would like to preface, by the way, to the people listening, I found out why Joe was having such a hard time with Ocarina of Time, and I kind of don't blame him for having a hard time, because he's playing it on the Wii Classic controller, in which, in that game, the item buttons, the C buttons, are mapped to the right analog stick, which sounds like
left analog stick.
Okay, pretty sure it's the right, because that would make no sense if left was not movement, but...
Yes,
left
you're right. You're right.
Okay.
You are correct.
Anyway.
Whoops.
Either way, mapping the C buttons for that game to an analog stick sounds like a fucking nightmare. And I read a couple Reddit posts where people were like, is there any way to change this? Because I keep using the wrong item by accident. So I actually don't blame Joe for having a hard time with Ocarina of Time based on that control scheme.
I mean, the wrong item did happen quite often.
Well,
it usually wasn't what killed me, but yes, yeah, it was.
Well, even then, like those controls were always meant to be like, okay, well, this is a button, so if you have like the bow on C left, you're just hitting the C left button on the N64 controller. Whereas with the way you played it, I'm assuming you have to slap the fucking right analog stick to left over and over again.
Yeah, you're slapping it to get that fucking arrow up to kill Ganon. It's great. Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah.
So, from what I can tell, Joe was playing maybe the least ideal control scheme version of this game.
Yeah.
So
I was playing the hardest one.
Yeah, when he gives this game a low score for gameplay, don't give him too much shit, because it sounds like he was having a hard time. Now, when he gives it shit for everything else, like graphics and sound and story, then you can lambast him because he's objectively wrong on this front.
It is some of the worst written text boxes I've ever seen in a game. Outside of all your base are belong to us.
That's not even fair. It's not even fucking fair. How dare you?
How is that not fair? Because they're Japanese, they can't speak English.
Because
it was an English translator. I don't know.
Because they read as regular English sentences, whereas we get signal what you say is not. So, that being said, I really feel bad for you, because apparently on the Wii Virtual Console you cannot remap the controls, but you can on the Wii U, which is what I was reading on that Reddit post. Like, apparently people just said, oh, just map the C buttons to X, Y, and R or whatever, which is, I think, is what they normally map to on stuff like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess for GameCube. And so that I'm sorry you had to put up with using the analog stick for the C buttons. That fucking sucks, dude.
Yeah, it sucked. It honestly, like, about halfway through the game, that was not the thing. At least I thought it wasn't the thing that was like throwing me off. At the beginning, though, there was literally a point where I was like, I don't know how to map multiple items. I can only do one thing at a time, because there's one C button that's actually a button that still works on the classic controller. It's like one of the bumpers.
Oh, weird.
And it's for it's for like the down C button.
How many How many sets of triggers or shoulder buttons does the Wii Classic controller have? Does it have 2 or does it just have the 1?
I already put it away. I'm not sure. I think it's the 1, and then there's one in the middle, which I
what the fuck?
don't know.
I haven't held a Wii Classic controller in maybe a decade, so. What the fuck does that thing look like? Because either way, you can't remap controls. Oh, okay. It's got like ZL and ZR buttons, but they're like you have to like break your fingers and go almost to where the cord is going into the fucking thing to touch them. I see now.
You gotta do palsy.
Either way, that still sucks. That is maybe the least ideal way you could. At least with Twilight Princess and the version of Twilight Princess you're playing, the C buttons, quote unquote, are mapped to the D-pad on the Wii remote. So
you know what's great about the version of Twilight Princess I'm playing? That it plays way better than the N64 controller ever. Even though everybody says this is the worst version of Twilight Princess, I'm playing it with like the Wii version. I'm like, this is fine. I can move around. I can target things.
Let's put it this way: the Wii version of Twilight Princess is maybe only the worst because they basically mapped like the sword to just waggling the controller as like a glorified button. But you have like pointer aiming. You have all this other shit. So it's not bad. It's just maybe less ideal than using a controller for some people, but it totally functions.
Yeah, but it is.
If anything, the pointer aiming
2 generations away from the clunkiness of the N64. I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Like it is like so much smoother.
Yeah.
Like, oh, thank God.
The game
technically,
and I
it was
don't
made
really
for the
understand.
GameCube.
And really, I don't understand people complaining about it so far. Where I'm like, I don't know. This seems like a good, well-programmed Wii game for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think the GameCube's little yellow nubbins was
A C stick.
Yeah, it's the C buttons again. It's just a C stick instead.
Well, no, because at least from what I remember with Wind Waker, and I never played the GameCube version of Twilight Princess, but I'm assuming it's the same way, is that it has X, Y, and the Z, the little purple Z button next to R that you could map the items to. So at least it has like those 3 functions available compared to, mapping it to the fucking right analog stick.
Yeah, that's pretty egregious.
Mm-hmm. They did have ports of Ocarina of Time on GameCube, and I do not remember how they are mapped, but I'm pretty sure it's the same thing where it's X, Y, and Z as opposed to the C stick, because that would be a fucking nightmare.
I don't know. That is just it. Just was what it was.
What I'm trying to say is my condolences to Joe for having to put up with that really unintuitive control scheme for that game.
Thanks. I also wish I had the nerfed version. Don't you worry. I wish I had that one, but I don't.
I mean, I didn't have as much trouble with the N64 version when I was a kid, so it's not like it was that much different.
Pixar
Well, I've never
happen.
played the N64 version, but also Schweiss is playing the N64 version. I don't think things are super easy for him.
Well, now that I got the tube TV, it's a little better.
Okay. That makes sense, because there's always the little delay, but I feel like the Wii, like, when I started Twilight Princess, it literally gave me instructions to do it widescreen, like to have a widescreen image, and I was like, how does it even know I'm playing on a widescreen?
Yeah.
And also for the people who only had a square TV, like, what are they doing? Like, literally, the game starts and it's like, change your TV settings so that these are squares and not rectangles. And I was like, oh, so this game is in widescreen? And it was. And it looked great. Well, it doesn't look great. I mean, it looks old, but it looks, I don't know, it looked better than the Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, every woman in the Ocarina of Time looks like shit.
Oh, Schweiss, you're ready for the faces in Twilight Princess, because they are something else.
Dude, as janky as the characters look in Ocarina of Time, the art direction in Twilight Princess is fucking horrid.
Oh, yeah?
You're saying that? I like things about it. I like the diffused look in the lighting. I like the lighting of it.
Look, the lighting's okay. It's also the most 2006 looking game ever, where it's like everything is super desaturated and there's like way too much bloom. Which it's a product of its time, whatever. But like just the way that like individual like every villager in that first village is the ugliest person I've ever seen in my life. The little baby that hangs around and then eventually opens a shop later. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little weird baby thing.
Yeah, that's gross looking. Yeah.
Yeah, and then even like
it's like I'm ready for Caleb Schweiss to be like, oh, it's face.
No, dude, seriously, like
it looks like Mila Jovovich with bangs. Ugh.
No, dude, like I'm not kidding. Half of like the female characters in like the starting village, like they are like 66% forehead, and then like the rest of their face is scrunched down to the bottom.
Yeah,
it's
they're
weird looking,
and their eyebrows are just like that's something else.
It's the direction, it's the art direction of like how they made the characters look in this game. Also, Impa in this game is like a black woman, like a fat black woman, so. That's like an interesting choice. It's really like they went like, okay, they want a realistic Zelda. We're gonna give them a realistic Zelda, whether they like it or not. And it's
does
just
she
like,
go all the time to Link?
She literally looks like she would start a fight at a Popeyes. I'm not kidding.
First off, I'm annoyed at you, A4, because my movie that I made has a lot of diffusion and it is unsaturated. So thank you.
Okay, but that's a movie. I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying of like when video games were doing that, it was mostly in like 2006 and 2007. When you see a game that looks like that, you're like, I know exactly what like 3-year period this game came out.
I mean, Halo kept going with it. Up until Halo's like Infinite, like it just kept on getting like, more and more.
But
diffusey.
like the ultra desaturation, the ultra like brownness, and like the way too much bloom. It's like when I think of that, I think of like not just Twilight Princess, but maybe like the first Resistance game, or like a lot of the early PS3 library. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where it's got that very specific kind of like art style where I can't describe it as anything other than 2007 core.
I don't know. You've brought it up a few times, but I'm not entirely sure, like, if I get what you're saying with the PS3 having, like, games that always looked muddy.
It's just like
I don't remember
it's just like the early stuff. It was like when they discovered they could do bloom, and all the games at that time were trying to be, like, super gritty and realistic, so they all had, like, very brown and gray, muddled out color schemes. They weren't super vibrant, so to speak. Even the vibrant ones had a lot of bloom, but, like, I don't know.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to bring this to movies because I know them better. But with movies, right now, we're in the time of just everything is post-production. Like, like the image of the film. Like, you're just looking for a good exposure, and then you can fuck with it in post. And people are getting, like, full-on, like... And they did this before in the production design, but now it's in, like, the literal, like, frame itself will not have like just even like the essence of a color that they don't want in the frame. So you're watching a lot of movies now and it's like 2 to 4 colors. Like the whole movie is 2 to 4 colors. And I don't really like that much, actually. I like that's kind of the opposite. It's like everything is like really blue, really red, and like a little bit of like human flesh tone and somewhere in there in the middle. Yeah. But, like, when I look at a movie from the 70s or the 90s, like independent films or whatever from the 90s, and 70s cinema where it was, like, really gritty and realistic, it's, like, the opposite, where they just, like, it looks like real, it looks like it looks like life. It looks like real life and, like, maybe, like, some augmentation in the costume department and the cinematography and all that stuff. But it's not like this super, like, made in a lab look to it. Like, there's still some humanity in there. So I don't know. I don't know what I would prefer. I just know right now in movies, I really miss things looking like real life a little bit.
Yeah. It's just different for video games because we had, like, the super vibrant PS2, Xbox, GameCube era where everything was, like, pretty well saturated, or at least they had, like, really strong art design. And then really at the beginning of, I guess it was the 7th generation where we had like the Wii and the PS3 and the 360. It's just a lot of games that were really trying to go for that like gritty, realistic push.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, the bloom was like, we have the capacity to do this bloom lighting now, so let's just throw it on fucking everything. I don't know if you got to the Twilight Realm yet at all.
No, I'm still at the beginning.
Okay,
like I played for like an hour and a half.
It's like there in like the main game, like in the normal world, but like when you take little dips into the Twilight Realm, it's just like, oh my fucking god, everything is just orange and cyan for days. Like,
oh, it's the opposite. Interesting.
It's a cool look. Don't get me wrong. It's just very of its time.
Yeah. So I got to where like you're just doing shit in the village to get like your
herding goats
basic
and shit.
ass shit, and I just barely got my like wooden sword that I can whack the thing with. Mm-hmm. But finding that fucking baby carriage, I like that. That was impossible. I was like, where the fuck? And then I had to look it up. Of course, I had to look it up. I'm like, oh, guys, might as well be on the guide for the next 40 hours.
Yeah.
that's my experience.
Get that IGN teat.
Love that.
They got good guides, I'll tell you what.
I like Zelda Dungeon for the Zelda stuff.
Zelda Dungeon is maybe the best for the guides when it comes to the actual Zelda games. They're very in-depth.
Or just watching someone play it on YouTube. That's also another one. That's a little easier. Sometimes I'll just be able to like scrub to the part where I'm at and be like, oh, he saw a thing and I didn't see it.
But yeah, like Ocarina of Time, not Ocarina of Time. Twilight Princess really takes its time getting going. It starts real slow.
It doesn't even have like an opening cutscene. It's like a Link and a father figure of some kind, and they have like a little conversation. It's not even like the Conan conversation where it's like the riddle of steel, boy. Like there's nothing. It's a little epic, but it's not very epic. They're just kind of like standing there, and then you're just walking around after that, and like, wow, that's not really a beginning to anything, but okay.
When it gets going, it's good. It's just like the beginning of Twilight Princess is real slow. It takes a while to get. These
started. Games are just going to vindicate Conan Exiles' 9 out of 10 story score.
I mean,
Ocarina
of Time gets going right the fuck away. Like
it
you
does,
meet Navi, and then it's just like go get your sword, go get your shield, and then go to the fucking Deku Tree, and you're already like in the first dungeon.
Yeah, but like
Majora's
getting
Mask
going
is the same way. Majora's Mask is like within the first cutscene, you're like, your horse is stolen, and you're going to chase after her, and then you get turned into a fucking thing. So
yeah, it gets going, but is it exciting?
It's been a while. I don't think I've actually played Twilight Princess since it came out, so it's been like almost 20 years.
My friend Dylan used to play it a lot. Like he would just replay Twilight, like when it was brand new. Just replayed it over and over again, basically. Like he was obsessed with all this stuff, and we tried to start a podcast with him, but
wasn't it us that failed though? What happened with that? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was me.
The pod that failed.
It was the two of us because I was playing the Wii version of the original Zelda.
Well, here and now, look at us now. We're going to have like 8 Zelda games under our belt by the time we finish.
I fucking know, yeah. And I've never been so disappointed by a beloved series in my life.
I get the feeling Joe's going to like Twilight Princess a lot better just because it's a lot more refined and sort of has a way bigger scope. Than
I
already like the controls better.
Yeah. Well, the controls are fine on the 64. I've thought about this earlier. I don't think I've ever beaten an N64 game ever. I don't think I ever have. Yeah. Like I didn't beat GoldenEye because there's like 7,000 levels in GoldenEye.
There's like 7, but okay.
No, dude, there's like 1 million. I think.
Maybe multiplayer wise.
Well, I probably played all the multiplayer maps, but
well, yeah, everyone did.
I never beat. Yeah, there's like 3 games on this console, and I haven't beat either 3. I never beat Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong, I never understood.
Well, Donkey Kong 64.
Play it, I was like, "What the fuck? But where do I even go in this stupid fucking game?" I was like, "What? I paid $40 for this thing. Like, what the fuck?" Because
Donkey Kong 64 is like Banjo-Kazooie, but like let's make it like 10 times bigger, and every character can only pick up like a certain number of things, and then you got to go switch to another character to pick up all the other things in the level. So it's like Banjo-Kazooie with like 10 times more tedium.
But the multiplayer in Donkey Kong 64 was awesome.
Oh yeah, but it's the people who made GoldenEye. So what do you expect?
Oh, is it? Oh yeah, it is rare. Yeah. I don't know. I expect greatness, I guess. But that was super fun playing like, Diddy Kong with the double pistol peanut launcher things and going to town on that weird third person shooter that is Donkey Kong.
The general consensus with Donkey Kong 64's like story mode seems to be like nowadays people are realizing like, oh, this is like a lot more tedious than I remember it being, because you have to switch to so many fucking characters and like, I can only pick up red bananas as what's his nuts, or I can only pick up blue bananas as fucking Chunky or Chungus or whatever the fuck. So
yeah, I remember just walking around and like not knowing what to do at all, like zero direction whatsoever, and I had to buy like extra brain power for the 64 because it's too stupid without the little like red chip.
The expansion pack, but it comes with it unless you bought it like used.
I bought mine used.
Well, there you go.
I wasn't going to pay $600 at the time.
Then again, you could also use the expansion pack to play Perfect Dark, which is like GoldenEye but better. So
yeah, I kind of agree with that. Perfect Dark is a really fun game. But GoldenEye, I mean, come on, it's James Bond. Perfect Dark is just some bitch.
Perfect Dark is just James Bond with tits.
Yeah. I don't like that. I don't even like 007 having tits. I was mad. It's like, what? A black woman, 007?
I still haven't seen No Time to Die.
And then he takes it from her. Well, they give it to him.
Oh, she pegs him?
No. No, he gets his moniker back for like an hour.
Okay, I was going to say, I could totally see them pulling a pegging scene in a modern James Bond movie.
Yeah, no, that'll be the next set. They're like, well, the last one was still...
and fucking James Bond is like, looks like the dick is on the other person now.
Yeah, looks like the dick's up my ass. No, I was thinking earlier, though, with the control scheme, it's like you're playing Nightfire, right? And you got like, okay, GoldenEye controls, you've got Goldfinger, you've got Octopussy, and then Palsy Palm is another set of a control scheme, and it's like everything is on the triggers. It's just like a combination of triggers. So
I didn't grow up playing GoldenEye on the N64 really. Like I played it a little bit, but like by the time I got access to GoldenEye regularly, it was like a couple of years ago when it came out on the Switch. And playing GoldenEye on the Switch with the N64, I'm like, oh, there's not like an actual control scheme that lets me play this normally. Like there's a control scheme where I can move forward with the stick, but I turn with the stick and I can only strafe with the C button. So I have like this weird disconnect in my brain where it's like, okay, right stick strafes back and forth, but aims up and down. Like that's weird as shit.
Yeah, I was worried that Nightfire was going to be that way too, but Nightfire controls on Nightfire are actually pretty modern. So,
well, yeah, because like when did that come out? 2002, 2003?
2002, yeah. So
it would have already been codified by then by like Halo and stuff.
Yeah. Another game though, I played that this week, some multiplayer, and I also played another fantastic multiplayer PS2 game, Red Faction 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. That one's controls are fucked up, but you can map every single control in that game, so I went and changed it to controls for human beings, and it's pretty good. Best thing about it, the railgun. There's like a railgun that you can, when you zoom in, you see people through walls, and it's just an insta-kill, so it's pretty fucking fun. Just find some place to camp, like a little shit, like below the map somewhere, and then just fucking zap people.
I was saying in the group chat I never played Red Faction, but I really want to, just because it seems like a cool series.
Yeah, the story in that one is really bad. Like, the campaign is absolute shit, but the multiplayer is super fun, so.
Right.
I did those two, and I also did a pretty good chunk of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Take All My Time. I just today finally finished the Spirit Temple.
Oh, so you're like almost at the end of the game, basically.
Yeah, thank God. It's taken me way too long, and I have Majora's Mask ready to go. So hopefully it's less frustrating. But I know a lot of people don't like it. So
Majora's Mask
love it too.
Majora's Mask is interesting. It's just different. It's hard to describe. You'll see when you play it. Can I give you a hint for Ocarina of Time before you get to the final boss, though?
Sure.
As you're going through Ganon's castle, you will eventually get access to the gold gauntlets, which lets you grab these huge pillars and move them out of the way. Outside of Ganon's castle, behind a few rocks, is one of those pillars. So if you get the gold gauntlets, go back outside and then lift that pillar up. There's a fairy fountain, which will give you basically ×2 to your defense. So all the attacks will do half damage. I don't know if Joe got that or not. Sounds like he didn't, but it's a little easy. It's a little easy to miss, but it'll help you out in the long run.
All right, I'll try to remember that tomorrow when I finish it. But yeah, I did those two, and then of course the ultimate Conan Exiles. We played quite a bit of it last week. Joe and I hopped on Monday night, hopped on Tuesday night, even longer, and yeah. In between that, I watched Mission Impossible 1 and 2. Post Conan.
I can't believe
I watched 4 Hitchcock movies at Hitchfest. We're going to talk about what we watched too.
Yeah,
I also watched. I watched an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm on Wednesday night. I really enjoyed that.
Larry David.
I also watched Master Chef Colombia for an hour and a half. My mom was not watching that. My girlfriend was watching that.
Oh.
While we were at her place. And, that's what I watched. A4, what did you watch this week?
I watched The Great Mouse Detective.
And Resident Evil Retribution.
Oh, how good we forget, yeah.
I watched The Great Mouse Detective and Resident Evil Retribution.
Nice.
Wow.
Gotta say, Mission Impossible 2 is definitely way worse than Mission Impossible 1.
Oh, Mission Impossible 2 is the worst Mission Impossible by a long.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's like
it's fucking...
you got like a slew of good movies and then one just dog shit movie called Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, I guess.
Which I've seen a million times. It's not like I haven't given that movie a chance. I've seen it so much.
I mean,
and it is
the John
so
Woo-ness of it is awesome. Like the action and the fight scenes are pretty sweet, but
yeah, I mean, he does do the motorcycle to the double kick thing. Like that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and like the mountain climbing scene in the very beginning is awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. I go, hey, that's Utah.
Yeah,
that's what I do at the beginning there.
Yeah.
So there's a cool part of The Great Mouse Detective where he stops a death trap.
Does he do his own stunts though?
Yeah, he does actually. Basil of Baker Street fucks for sure. No, there's actually, because I forgot about this from when I was a kid. There's a fucking scene where they have like a burlesque show with a mouse like singing a little show tune, and she gets like all stripped up, and it's like, I forgot how horny animators are. It's like a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it was sexualized. It was sexualized back then too. Not as bad, but
because nice. So I was listening to another podcast, and the one guy was like, "Oh, Sailor Moon, is that in a cartoon? Who's jerking off to cartoons?" And I'm like, "Have you not seen like a movie animated in the past like 50 fucking years? Like all these dudes are super fucking horny, and the Japanese are 10 times as horny as they are. So it's like, yeah, of course people are jerking off to cartoons. Have you seen Judy Hopps from Zootopia? Like, come the fuck on, dude. It's a problem.
Yeah."
Tell us about your problem. No, don't tell us anymore.
I want her to thump. I want her to do the thumper kick of my balls when she's squealing.
When it comes to Judy Hopps, all I have to say is fuck the police.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I watched. So it was good. I really like John Woo. It's so funny. I think a pigeon like wronged him at some point in his life. Like he was trying to get away with something, and some pigeon just like fucked it up. Like
what?
It initiated him getting captured.
Did you guys ever play the John Woo PS3 game Stranglehold?
No. What? I didn't know.
Yeah, there's a John Woo. It's a sequel to Hard Boiled. It's a PS3 game called Stranglehold. It's a John Woo movie.
Oh.
But yeah.
That sounds
Look
sweet.
Look it up sometime. Stranglehold for PS3 and I think 360. It's the fucking John Woo game.
Nice. That sounds awesome. But yeah, he loves his pigeons and his like religious ceremonies and all that. And like face
grabbing.
face grabbing, face swapping. Like this is a perfect movie for him. Perfect universe.
Face petting.
I also haven't seen Face Off. So.
What? Oh man!
I know, dude. The amount of movies I haven't seen by now that I should have seen by now.
Have you seen The Rock?
Before you watch Face Off, no, it is both one of the great films of all time and one of the worst films of all time at the same time. It is the most stupid plot ever conceived.
Let's put it this way.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, but does it matter? No, it doesn't matter at all because that movie's fucking awesome. It's fucking.
I already know
dude.
I already know I would love Face Off. And also no, I have not seen The Rock.
Oh, come on.
That's a great one too.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Face Off, but it's great.
No, it's not.
So Resident Evil Retribution is a not great movie from 2012, written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson, and is a sequel to Resident Evil Afterlife. It's the 5th film in the Resident Evil film torture series.
It's a direct sequel. It starts the very second that Afterlife ends.
Come on, you don't remember. Oh, yeah, no, it does. And then it rewinds half of Afterlife. And this movie would be 70 minutes long if I didn't have to watch
let me put
the
it this
last
way.
one for the first 10 minutes.
It starts 30 seconds after Afterlife ends, then rewinds that, then plays it back in real time.
Like, what? He's so obsessed with slow-mo, he's got to do slow-mo reverse.
I gotta show my wife falling into the ocean in reverse.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool looking, honestly, but...
It was a cool opening sequence, don't get me wrong.
I actually thought, of all the Resident Evil movies, this one had the best first 30 minutes of, like, any of them. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is still not good, but it is way more watchable than the other ones so far for me. I've only seen, of course, the first one, Welcome to Raccoon City, and then the last one and this one.
Oh,
so,
you didn't... Wait, you didn't see fucking...
No, I didn't.
Apocalypse or
I
Extinction?
didn't feel like going back and watching the ones I'd missed because I knew these were dog shit. If the first one is the good one,
it is
I'm
the
out,
good one.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's like.
I would actually argue that Apocalypse is the best one because it's the one that closest resembles a Resident Evil thing.
No, that
like
was
the first
dumb.
one. The first one's close, but like it's too mired in like, oh, we had our original character Alice. Whereas like Apocalypse is the one that has like Jill Valentine and Nemesis and. It just feels more like an...
I mean, Nemesis looks like shit, though. Yeah, but I don't know.
I think looks like shit.
I think Jill is a believable character. I mean, they have all kinds of like weapons that they create, you know. And it's Mila Jovovich, so whatever.
I'm sorry. Do you remember the scene in Apocalypse where Mila Jovovich it turns into a Devil May Cry movie for a split second?
Come on, I don't remember any of that.
Mila Jovovich bursts through a fucking stained glass window in a church on a motorcycle and then gets off of it and lets the motorcycle go up an enemy and then she juggles it in the air with pistols. Are you kidding me?
I don't remember that.
Well, you should watch Apocalypse again.
No.
When did Apocalypse come out?
2004. I don't know. Also, Jill Valentine is way hotter when she's brunette and not, instead of blonde.
In the games or in this?
Both. Because the blonde Jill Valentine is also lifted straight from Resident Evil 5.
She's pretty hot in 5.
I do like how you consider it a good movie if it's close to the source material.
It's funny
that equals good movie.
I also really like.
It's
Resident
not a
Evil,
great movie. It's just
that.
I think of having watched all 5 in the past like month and a half. I think the second one is my favorite personally. The first one's really solid just because it's like a horror sort of like mystery movie, but just in terms of like what it's being an adaptation of the source material, I think the second one might be the best.
Interesting take. I haven't seen the second one, so I have nothing to add. So yeah, the movie starts in reverse. There's a big battle going on a ship, but you're seeing it in reverse and in slow motion.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was like an interesting stylistic choice. The music is really good there. It's really like, whoa, what's going on here? This is pulling me in. This is curiosity inducing. I will, however, say there was definitely something cheap about like there was something extra fake looking about the stunts being played backwards and in slow-mo. Like they definitely felt like stunt dudes, like just generic, like here's a stunt and I'm doing it backwards. Like
yeah.
Her coming out of the water in reverse slow-mo, It's not the song they use, but it feels like it should have had the fucking Marilyn Manson cover of "Sweet Dreams Are Made of This."
Yeah, have you seen those like YouTube shorts that have that song playing in the background? I think we should start doing those for Nude Clan, but just only when A4 is saying something like extremely racist. Just like the worst of A4 with like that. It's like, oh yeah, and then she looks like she's gonna get in a fight at a fucking at a Popeyes. That's the whole clip. Yeah. It's just like
when you
a couple thousand of those.
I'm sorry. When you get to Impa in Twilight Princess and you remember that I said she looks like she would start a fight in a Popeyes, you will apologize to me because you'll be like, yeah, he was right.
Yeah, she's going to be like, hey, I ordered 7 dozen chicken nuggets, not 6 dozen. She's going to throw down.
So after that, we get a presentation. One of 2 giant presentations in this movie. Mila Jovovich, by the way, is totally reading off of a fucking teleprompter, which she's given her like prologue of like everything.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Oh, you mean the prologue? You mean the monologue that appears at the beginning of every single one of these fucking movies except for the first one?
Well, she reads off a teleprompter
monologue
immediately after smoking an entire pack of cigarettes at once.
My name is Alice. I used to work for the Umbrella Corporation. Yeah. There was the thing called the Hive. A virus got out. There was an incident.
Wouldn't it have been great if in Harry Potter they recapped all the Harry Potters?
My name is Harry Potter. My mom.
This is my story.
My aunt and uncle are
like
dicks.
that.
It could have, yeah.
Honestly,
all it needed was like a studio executive to be like, "How are people gonna know? It's been 2 years since the last movie.
I was sorted into the Gryffindor house."
And we won House Cup that year.
I got, just like we did every year, I got my Nimbus 2000.
Yeah.
And then my Nimbus 2000 broke, and I got another one from a mysterious person.
And then I saw Cho Chang, and she gave me a boner.
But it turns out she was dating Cedric Diggory. There you go. Yeah, so that's basically what happens there. And I wrote down previously on Resident Evil because it might as well have just been that.
Dude,
they might as well play that before the movie even starts.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
That's the point.
You were telling me when we had to watch Afterlife, oh, you don't need to watch the previous 3 Resident Evil movies. And I'm kind of glad I did because I sort of had a framework for what was going on. If I'd come into this one blind, I would have been immediately confused because it's just, why are they getting blown up on a freighter ship? Like, what the fuck is actually going on? And granted, that has almost nothing to do with the overarching plot of this movie, but it would have made the first, 2 minutes like, what the actual fuck is... Why is she shooting quarters out of a sawed-off shotgun?
Yeah.
This 80-minute movie doesn't start until 30 minutes in.
Yeah, because
you have a long title sequence, which is pretty cool, where everything's backwards. And then you get a recap. And then you get the actual fight you just saw.
Yeah. That's double dipping.
The other way around.
That's like the movie version of Joe being like, hey, can we just cut this episode in half and release part 2 next week?
There's
it's like, how about we just do the beginning, but we'll like go in reverse and that'll be the new beginning and it'll be like 7 minutes long. It'll look cool. And then we're going to do again, just in full speed.
It's the opposite of, there's a show called Wonder Shows, which is like a parody of like Sesame Street and shit. And they have an episode called Patience, and they have like a really long, like, first third of the episode that's really tedious and really boring. And then they're like, we're sorry this was so boring. So in order to undo it, we will play the entire thing in reverse. So they spend the second third of the episode playing the entire thing backwards. And it's just like, it's almost like that, where it's just like, yeah, you didn't need to have the backwards part. I mean, it looked cool, but...
Yeah, I was thinking, man, are we just going to go back to, like, Resi 1 here? So this thing is going... This is last movie. Like, we're not even...
Well, because they do the thing, too, and he loves doing this, with the shot of her laying down on her side, and then it rotates and zooms out.
Yeah.
And they do that twice in this fucking movie.
It's a motif.
It is a motif, but it's just like... But it's also like, okay, but I've also heard this monologue at the beginning in every other Resident Evil movie that explains what the fuck is going on for the people who didn't see, like, the first 4 movies. Yeah.
Then we get a scene that's way out of nowhere, which is like the family scene where, of course, Mila Jovovich wakes up and she's all perfect makeup. Her husband as well when he's like going into the kitchen and his daughter is there. And his
her
daughter's
sign
deaf,
language
by the way.
daughter. Yeah.
And he doesn't look like he just woke up. He looks like he's been up for about 8 hours or something because he doesn't look tired at all. Like he's totally like, it was like too perfect of a opening family thing, and it makes you think it was a flashback.
Yeah.
But of course, you find out the truth later. But Mila Jovovich is in like, I don't know, like her hair is perfectly done, and she looks fucking fine. Like this is Mama Mila, is what I called her. Mama
Here
Mila
I go
Jovovich.
again.
Yeah, Mama Mila.
Mama
Here
Mila.
I go again.
I just came again.
Yeah. She is hot as fuck as like just like a suburban mom. Yeah, really I enjoyed that.
I want you to make my pancakes till the day.
And of course, the one jump scare that actually fucking worked for me was after, in the middle of this fucking like family scene, a zombie comes out and it's like, oh Jesus, I forgot we were in a Resident Evil.
I spilled coffee on my shirt. I'll go get another shirt for you.
I
buddy.
just thought we were in a bad Hallmark movie for about 10 minutes, and then fucking like then a horrible zombie came out. So
you're like, oh, I thought I was in a dream.
A fun moment. I do put that the most like unrealistic thing in this entire thing. So the dad is like talking to his daughter and is like, remember, you're supposed to speak at the same time for the audience at home so that they can hear what you're saying when they're in the movie theater. That's really what he means. But he's like, his daughter's deaf. She's using sign language. And then he said, just so you remember that your teacher said that you have to speak at the same time as you're signing. And then the kid goes, thank you, Daddy, which I put as, that's the most unrealistic response ever.
Yeah, it would have been like, thank you, Daddy.
Or, no, fuck you, by the way. We're getting kicked off Twitch for that. But it would have been, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to. I'm at home. I don't want to do that. Like, it would be a huge fucking fight with the dad, where the dad is like trying to get the kid to speak, and the kid's like, no, I don't want to. Because all fucking kids do the exact opposite as their parents tell them to do. Every single one.
I just don't know how she spoke perfect English, even though she's deaf.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how long they've been deaf, but they do eventually forget how to speak because they can't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know
that was the more
information,
unrealistic
so.
factor to me, so...
It's not unrealistic, though. That one can be explained away. The kid immediately going, oh, thank you for correcting me, father. That's bullshit.
Yeah. It was a weird flashback, and Jovovich gets killed at the end. But then while she's like running away and she finds Rodriguez, what's her name? Her first name?
Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez from the first movie, and they are like escaping together.
Oh, in her car with the gay pride sticker, and she's like, oh, I marched against gun ownership, and then the real Mila Jovovich is just like, it's like a camera, aim and shoot.
Yeah, but I did love one of the things in the background. There was a guy, like a stunt guy, who had a shovel, and he was like tearing this zombie up, dude. Like it was crazy. Like it was as they were running out of the house. It was like her direct neighbor. He was like, fucking. It was like 9 hits with the shovel. This guy was like kicking this dude's ass, and I was like, holy shit, that guy back there. And then like the last one you see, he's got like it above his head, and he's like fucking coming down on him. I'm like, damn. That guy's the real hero. He's fucking got a garden shovel, and he's just fucking this dude up bad.
And then they're just like immediately hit by a truck, by the way. Just like boom. And then the movie actually starts. It takes like 20, I don't know how long. It was like 20 minutes.
It was.
Like before the movie
more or less,
actually started, where we actually get real Mila Jovovich
wearing a pizza box, as Schweiss likes to call it.
like a box from the pie up at Salt Lake, a big old pizza box.
Or as me and Joe call it, the examiner's table paper at the doctor's office.
Yeah, that's what's taped to her front and back so that there's not technically nudity, but it's all translucent. So it's Paul W.S. Anderson going again, hey, look at my hot wife. Oh, you want to see him, don't you?
You
want to see those.
You want to see those A cups? Oh, man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with an A cup. All boobs are great. Fuck you.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying.
Okay. Now she does wake up in a Lady Gaga music video, is what I wrote. and I linked the exact music video in our chat yesterday. But it's Bad Romance. It's the Bad Romance music video. Like the room, like the big white room, like the wall the ceiling looks exactly the same. It is exactly the same room.
Well, what I was saying when this happened is my favorite thing is that whenever Umbrella builds something, they have to put their iconography on the floor or the ceiling or whatever the fuck. And apparently, according to when Leon and Barry and those guys get on the elevator, apparently the Russians have to also because they have a giant star with the sickle and the hammer in the middle. But it's just like, yeah, everything's about just iconography in this fucking movie. It's just like, yes, every Umbrella floor has to be a light up LED sequence to turn the Umbrella logo on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, man. Yeah.
And I love that everyone in this corporation is just like standing around until she wakes up. Because that's as far as I could tell, that's what's happening.
Well, and
then they get instructions.
Well, and then later they show security camera footage where Ada Wong just walks into the middle of the circular room and just starts shooting everybody in a circle, and no one does anything.
Yeah.
No.
The stupid thing was before that, though, we get to see Mila Jovovich go in there, and there's a bunch of dead dudes with no exit wounds but blood splatter. And I'm like, okay, that looks stupid.
On the glass on the front.
Yeah, and then we see how they die, and it's like, okay, now it's even worse because like she shoots them from the front, and the blood splatters out the front. It's like, how did that?
Yeah.
Nobody knows how guns work in any of these movies. I swear. Like at least this guy knows that the bullets aren't like.
Yeah, especially when they say you just point and shoot. Like that's how a gun would. Like no. You're not going to hit anything if you just point and shoot.
Yeah.
I also thought that was dumb. I just thought the scene was funny where she was like, oh, I campaigned against gun ownership.
Yeah, and then
like,
she dies like 5 seconds later. It's like, oh, well.
She was a clone. Who gives a fuck?
I think it also bothers me that she says it's just like a camera. You just point and shoot. And I was like, for both of those, I was like, no, not for either of those things. Do you just point and shoot?
Yeah.
I thought it was funny when she was in like the main lobby of the Umbrella thing, and then the thing comes out like again like the Matrix, where a thing comes out with guns, and she's like, "Oh fuck yeah!" and she throws her revolver away, and I was like, "What if it just went back down and just like, all right, well, like they were just trolling her."
Psych.
By the way, real quick, because Wesker shows up right after that on the video screen. Did they ever explain how he's not dead? Because we saw him explode at the end of the last movie.
Wasn't there something after where he was not dead? Still, or am I just crazy?
It was the blonde lady on the ship.
What, Jill?
Yeah, she shows up at the very, very end of the last
one. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. That wasn't very well communicated to me. It's just like, I guess Wesker's just alive again because he's a character from the games and we need to have him in the movie.
Maybe it's because he's an agent and he switched bodies. Like all agents do in the computer program.
Yeah.
He's doing... I can't believe this. I don't know when he showed up in this franchise. I have no fucking idea. It could have been the first movie. I can't fucking remember.
Well, the first game, I should say.
Okay, well, in the movie series, do you remember?
It wasn't the first movie, I don't think.
It wasn't the first? Because, like, him doing an Agent Smith impersonation is, like, wrong.
It's bad.
You can't have your main bad guy who does all the same things Agent Smith does and keeps his sunglasses on inside. You can't have him be doing an Agent Smith impersonation as well.
Again, you're correct, but he kind of does that anyway in the first video game. Like, that's basically what he talks like in the very first video game from 1990. What, 7?
Yeah, everybody from that talks like shit, though. That's like one of the worst voice acting.
No, but I mean, like, that's basically the same kind of. Yes, but again, that's the same kind of like incantation the inflection he has in the original game. He's just like, I'm going to merge with the T virus and I'm going to rule the world.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I look about the city. And all I could see is, oh, fuck. I got to remember the Agent Smith speech. I'm going to fuck it up. Anyway.
You all stink. I hate being here.
Yeah. Somehow it's repulsive, isn't it? Like, I don't know. There's the whole Agent Smith, like, that's what his character is. His character is an Agent Smith ripoff character, and the actor doesn't even give a fuck. He's not giving him anything new. He's just like, okay, you want me to do an Agent Smith? I'll do my Agent Smith impersonation.
To be fair
to Joe, it seems that you've been living 2 lives.
To be fair to Joe, the version of Wesker that shows up in this movie and the last movie is highly based on Wesker from Resident Evil 5, which definitely does rip off Agent Smith. So
Yeah.
there is a bit of like weird incestuous like inspiration there between like, okay, maybe Wesker inspired Agent Smith, but then Agent Smith inspired Wesker later.
So,
Yeah.
it's not inspiration if it's just a fucking Xerox.
Let's not bring our porn categories into this.
What are you
all right?
inspiring? You know,
I don't know.
inspiring is like, oh, this thing gives me this idea that inspires.
Look, all I know is
this thing shall be this. My idea.
all I know is the Wachowskis were huge weebs, so
Yeah, they put up on way better filmmakers, I will say, unfortunately. Like,
Well-
better writers, they did better casting, they placed the camera in better spots.
I don't know. Is Mila Jovovich a worse actor than Keanu Reeves?
We'll
I don't
remain
know about
silent
that.
on that
Yeah.
opinion.
I don't know. I've seen Dracula, so
Yeah, he's terrible in that movie.
Keanu's not great in Dracula. He's definitely miscast in that movie.
Everyone
where the
else is
bastard
amazing.
sleeps.
Like,
However, that movie, once again, better than this entire movie.
oh yeah, that movie's
Yes,
awesome.
every
I
scene
like
with Keanu
Dracula.
Reeves.
Don't get me
Yeah,
wrong.
it's a great movie. It's a great movie, actually. Ada Wong, I wrote down as hard 80 yard, and then I realized
Oh,
everything in the white rooms was 80 yard. So that's the problem, was that they were in a really echoey, horrible place to film, and then they had to do ADR to make up for it. So as cool as I thought actually the production design up until we got to the entire rest of the movie, which is all green screen and CGI. I thought the production design and like in the Lady Gaga music videos stuff was pretty good looking. Like I thought
I
it was
will
pretty
say, I think the visual variety that you get in this movie is a lot better than it is in the last movie, and maybe even the one before that. Because at least, like, yeah, granted, you have like Moscow and New York and Tokyo, which are all like cities at night, but you have like those. You have the underground bunker. You have the Arctic sections up above. You have the suburbia section, which is at least set in daytime. So you get a good amount of visual variety, even though they are just walking through a bunch of set pieces, more or less.
Yeah.
Which is better than like the brown and grays of the fucking prison from the last movie, which is half the fucking movie until they get to the Matrix part, which is on the boat.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that last one was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm. And the desert one's even worse because the desert one, the third one, is just, it's all desert. It's just like, all right.
I mean,
well,
it's got some good slow-mo, you know.
Well,
I feel like his movies would be like an hour 10 if it weren't for slow-mo.
I don't think he directed all of them. I think he directed the first one, this one, maybe
And the
one
last
of the
one.
ones in between.
Yeah.
He directed
He
the
was
first one,
involved.
the last one, and this one. That was it.
Okay.
He was
As far
involved
as
with
directing.
Okay.
All. Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's 80 yard. Ada Wong's ADR is extremely bad.
Yeah.
But then I realized, oh no, all the acting is bad. Every single one of the bits of acting in this movie is horrible. And then we got the mission. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, scene, which is the second PowerPoint presentation in the movie in 30 minutes. And that's when the actual movie starts. He gives her mission, and I don't even my brain turned off.
Robert Wesker's like, you got to get out of here.
They totally ripped off
Yeah.
the Resi 4 scene, too, with Ada and Leon. That's like the exact same scene.
Oh, dude, yeah. When she first meets Ada, it's like beat for beat the fucking Resident Evil 4 scene.
Yeah.
I was saying that when it happened. Which I might have complained about this before. I'm glad that the costumes are accurate to the games. Like Barry looks like Barry. Leon, when he has the bomber jacket on, looks like how Leon should look. And Ada is exactly like she looks in Resident Evil 4. The problem is when they're not in a video game and they're not like animated,
They look fucking stupid.
it just looks like bad cosplay, which is like
Yeah.
it's this weird mental disconnect that you have to have where it's like, okay, I'm looking at Ada Wong wearing this dumb China dress in rural Spain in Resident Evil 4, but it worked because I know I'm not looking at reality. I'm looking at a series of polygons. Whereas with here, it's like, even if it's on a green screen, it's like, I'm looking at a real woman wearing this dress, which makes no sense in this context. So it's like a catch 22 where it's like, make the game characters look accurate to the game and they look stupid, or make them look more realistic and they barely look like they're in the game. Like what? It's the same thing with like the hair in the Tekken movie where it's like, yeah, Heihachi's hair looks fucking retarded because that's what his hair is supposed to look like in the game, but it doesn't look good on a real life guy. It would make more sense if it was like a CG animated movie. And they did make CG animated Resident Evil movies, but it's just like, it's this weird, it's almost like Uncanny Valley where it's like, I know I'm looking at reality, so this looks stupid. whereas I'm looking at CG or a video game. Therefore, I can sort of suspend my disbelief. And this, even though this woman's wearing a China dress in the middle of Spain, it's fine. Who gives a fuck?
Didn't you give me the exact opposite argument before? A4?
Yes, I did. That's why I'm saying
shout
it's a
each
catch.
other down.
That's why I'm saying it's a catch-22, where it's like they look game accurate in this movie, but it looks stupid because it's in real life. It's live action. If this was an animated movie, it would at least have that.
Things need to be adjusted for the medium that they're in.
Yes.
That's what has to happen in an adaptation.
Yeah.
Yes, but again, that's a catch-22 because it's like if you don't make them look accurate at the game, then the people who like the games are going to complain. So it's like you lose either.
I mean,
way.
these movies make a lot of money.
What did you lose? Like 5 people when Wolverine wasn't completely in all yellow spandex?
Yeah,
Yes,
and like
actually,
4'7".
fuck that.
Hugh Jackman's
I
actually
need my
kind
Wolverine
of
to
a
be
tall
a
dude.
fucking midget, and I need him to be wearing all yellow and brown or blue.
You know, there was a chance that Danzig would have been Wolverine. Can you imagine how
Oh my
awesome
god,
that
would
been?
have been hilarious. Are you fucking kidding me?
Cyclops.
And starring Sigourney Weaver as Wolverine. Oh, sorry, that's Danzig.
Wolverine, like Sigourney Weaver on testosterone.
Yeah,
well-
a lot of testosterone.
I had a teacher, like I had I think it was a marketing teacher in junior high or high school, and I'm not kidding you guys. She looked exactly like Stephen King. Her face
Oh, God.
was Stephen King's face.
I thought you were going to say
woman's
Danzig.
body.
I thought you were going to say she looked like Danzig, and she was like, I'm going to call your mother.
Yeah.
No,
That is a
I mean, just
horrible
like,
thing. That's even worse.
I mean, it was odd. Like she just, and Stephen King just kind of looks like an old lady. I think is really what it is. It's not so much that like she looked like a man. It's that Stephen King kind of looks like an old lady.
He kind of looks like my grandma, actually. Yeah, it's like really thin lips, like
Stephen King looks
glasses.
like puffy cheeks and his like small mouth, and he's like squinting through his glasses. Like he looks like a woman. Like when he's fully shaven.
Stephen King looks like if you were trying to crossbreed a human and a turtle.
Yeah, he's looking a little turtly. That's for sure.
He's too turtly
offense
for
to
the Turtle
great-
Club.
I mean, no offense to the great writer Stephen King, but yeah, my one of my teachers looked
Fuck
just
Stephen
like
King.
him.
I got
And
fuck.
I started pulling up. What if I wanted to adapt one of his movies? A4. How about you go fuck yourself on that? How about you shut up and be
we're working
fucking
on
smart about this?
Yeah.
What is there left to adapt, by the way?
He actually has for people wanting to make short films and stuff like students. He actually has these things called dollar babies, and you just send him $1 and you'll get the film rights to it.
I don't like that the guy who wrote a child orgy scene in one of his books has a thing called dollar babies.
Yeah. Is it that program through like Wayfair or something? Like selling kids?
So anyway, yeah, she looked just like him. It was hilarious, and I would send people pictures of fucking Stephen King and be like, when I'll be sitting back
Also-
watching it on the computer.
For what it's worth, Mr. King, I liked 1408. I know people shit on that movie, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I like it too. Also, I bet you Dollar Babies is how Maximum Overdrive happened. Because the secret is, it's like a secret menu option. If you give him
He made
$2,
Maximum Overdrive.
if you give him
still
$2,
haven't-
he'll be in the movie as well.
I still haven't seen Maximum Overdrive, and I really want to, because I bet that movie rocks.
It's crazy.
It's a
Yeah.
Stephen King cocaine fever dream, is what that is.
Yeah.
With child murder, and
I've
it's
seen
hilarious.
The Dead Zone. The Dead Zone was him, right?
Yeah, it was. That's his first book,
Okay.
or one of his first books.
I've seen The Dead Zone. I've seen. What's the one with the retarded guy who loves Scooby Doo and the aliens come through your ass or whatever? It's
Dreamcatcher.
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah,
right?
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, I've seen Dreamcatcher. I've not seen
Terrible movie.
the one about the car, but I know of it. Christine. I've not seen Christine, but
Oh yeah,
and I saw that new It reboot and it was fucking dog shit. But
I never saw that.
Everybody loves that movie. I haven't seen it, but
it's
you're the only
fine.
person I've heard say it's dog shit.
I mean, The
It's
Stand
fine.
is
It's
good.
just-
And then, I mean, come on. Like,
and I've seen The Green Mile.
Green Mile, is amazing. And then
The Shining.
The Shining's amazing.
Yeah, and The Shining. Yeah.
And then also...
hey, let's just list out Stephen King. Who's got a list of Stephen King stuff? We could just start listing.
I have not seen the made-for-TV movie
credits
of The Langoliers, but I have seen the Nostalgia Critic review of it. So,
have you? What about
you watched Secret Window?
Oh yeah, Secret Window. That's okay.
A pretty good one.
What about what some people consider the greatest movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption? That was a short story from Stephen King.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Not even a real
read
book.
the short,
and it's not technically
movie.
about Stephen King, but it's kind of like a parody on Stephen King. I have seen In the Mouth of Madness by John Carpenter, which is basically like, what if Stephen King was God and everything he wrote came to life?
Oh, dude, yeah.
What if Stephen King was mixed with H.P. Lovecraft and they were both God and everything they wrote came to life?
What's crazy is in The Dark Tower, he is. It's like some super meta shit where like his actual writing is controlling the world in the books.
Spoilers.
I've heard that, but yeah, go watch In the Mouth of Madness. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I was like, man, this guy is jacking himself off so hard right now. I guess it's the perfect time to announce our newest podcast, Who Hurt You, Stephen King. It's a podcast where we take Stephen King's works, whether they're actually his or not, and we try to figure out what inconvenience caused him to write the book that afternoon.
I've also never seen Jerry's Game, and I've never seen Misery. So
yeah,
I've not seen Misery either. I need to.
Because the way he focuses on stuff in his writing, it's like, man, because like the 11/22/63, he's like always bitching about like Dallas, Texas, and then like he goes
he fucking hates it.
And there's like a car that he brings up like 8 times in there, and I'm like, okay, so I think Stephen King got carjacked from this really nice car in Dallas, Texas around that time, and that's why he fucking hates Dallas.
Well, the other thing that annoys me about Stephen King is like he always latches onto like one phrase for different stories. Like in it's we all float down here, and like in Pet Sematary, it's the ground is sour, and it's just like repeat that shit over and over again.
And that one, I can't remember what it was, but every like couple weeks, I used to text it to Cameron. It was like Jim Law, I think is what it was. It was Jim Law or something crazy, and it's like a fucking
Jim Law.
It's like a quarterback from the local team in
or he just
town.
has like he's like weird terminology that like no one would ever use, but he only uses it in his books. Like it's like, oh, it's gray water, and it's just like no one would ever use the term gray water except for in a Stephen King book.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's so hurt by us right now. As he's
you know what, Stephen
dough.
King, it's on site. If I ever see you, you're fucking done, dude.
Back to the shitty movie. I called this PowerPoint the movie at a certain point because I got already one presentation, 2 scenes, and then another very long presentation from the Agent Smith impersonator. And then the rest of the movie is on green screen and people just shoot things and it's boring as fuck.
The big bad monster in this movie is just a giant licker. That's kind of it.
Yeah.
I kind of see where Quiet Place got its premise from with the deaf daughter and they're in the suburbia and like shit's going wrong. I'm like, hold on a second. I saw this in another movie.
Yeah.
I mean, they certainly did it better. That would
I
be
will
inspired.
say near the end of the movie, after they like spoilers, after they fight in the Arctic and she rescues Jill Valentine from the mind control bug on her breast. And I laughed out loud when they go to Washington, D.C., and you just see the Oval Office and Albert Wesker is sitting there behind the fucking desk. I laughed out loud. I was like, yeah, Wesker's president.
I laughed too, actually. I gave a
and then there's that final. Well, they do the zoom out where it's the White House, and then like right outside the White House is just Helm's Deep. And then my one friend I was streaming it on Discord, and my one friend goes, January 7th.
Yeah. I told them to bring in the National Guard, but nobody ever listens. Yeah,
there's. Go ahead.
I thought the premise was kind of interesting, where they, Umbrella. This is a super retcon though, but Umbrella basically started a viral arms race with the world, right? So they're having with all the breakouts, they're having they're making deals with opposing countries to launch biological warfare on them.
Yeah.
But they also have these stupid simulations that they're doing where they kind of test out each area's outbreak just to kind of see how it'll go, I guess. And they actually clone people for these.
Including Alice.
Michelle
Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank God. We could use more of her.
I love...
I
love Caveman Brow in my fucking movie.
Yeah. Michelle Smash.
Yeah.
No,
when she shows up in the suburban section, she's like, "Get in." It's like, "Okay, sir."
Yeah. I thought she was awesome in the first movie. I don't know. Fuck you, man. I mean, I guess she was just a clone. But I thought it was kind of shitty. They brought the Red Queen back from the first movie, and they gave her the exact same lines. Like, it didn't even seem like they...
You're all going to die down here. I've already heard that one before.
Yeah, and it's like, what... Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like they didn't have the rights to the little British girl anymore, so they had to just reuse the old dialogue from the first one.
Well, and the Alice in Wonderland metaphor, I guess they're going for, where it's Project Alice is our main character, and then the Red Queen is the bad guy who's seemingly going to be the villain in the final movie coming up, because she basically turns into Skynet at the end. It's like, the Red Queen is determined she has to destroy all life on Earth. So, The Last of Us.
Yeah, no shit. So we get old Luther West from the last movie yet again. Wesker's a good guy. Barry's terrible.
Wesker's a good guy kind of by necessity because he's like, I need you to help me destroy this AI.
Yeah, he doesn't like computers. He probably gets captured like to death, and he's just like, God damn it.
Well, because like Wesker wasn't a player in the early movies. Like I think it was Jorah Mormont who was the villain of the first few movies.
Yeah, and he's not Wesker. I thought he was, which would have been awesome.
He's not. No, he gets killed in like the third movie or something.
Yeah.
And then Wesker shows up, and it's like, now we have the people who like the video games all roped in for the next one.
I liked Jorah Mormont a lot in the first few, man. He was awesome. Yeah. That's why he kind of plays the part of like William Birkin, because he mutates himself by the end of it. He's got like the eyeball on the shoulder and everything, from what I remember. Maybe he is, and we're just being dumb. I don't think he is, though.
I don't know. Did the credits even name characters at this point? They're just like, guy, Mila Jovovich, girl.
Yeah, deaf girl. Yeah. So we got two of the big boys from the end of the last movie that with the big old axes.
They bring those back from Resident Evil 5, and it's just like, oh, now there's two of them, and it's like, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I said lots of simulations and rewinds in this movie. Like, the movie basically goes nowhere, and then it actually goes backwards, like, a lot.
Yeah. Well, they make Leon and Barry and those guys fight the Los Plagas in like the Russia simulation, but it's like there's nothing that really makes them seem like the Los Plagas except for the fact that they're zombies that can shoot guns. It's not like they're fucking like exploding into the weird headworm things.
Yeah.
They're yelling, and they wouldn't because they're Russian. So.
And they're basically invincible, which isn't the case either. And then I also wrote, have the effects always been this bad, or am I just closer to the TV?
No, they've always been this bad.
Because it looks pretty bad.
Pretty bad. This is the highest budget of any of the Resident Evil movies.
Really?
Any of them, yeah. So the newest one, the Raccoon City, was $25 million. That one was a failure, by the way.
That one was a lot more like scaled back, though, so that makes sense.
Yeah, but it only made $41 million. Like
what?
Yeah.
So what? We gave it like half.
Resident
of that?
Evil: The Final Chapter made $314 million at the box office.
Jesus.
Yeah, so look at that comparison.
Yeah.
What did the first one do?
You need Mila Jovovich, and you need to not follow the games in order to be a financial success.
I guess.
That's
or you
clear.
could just not make these fucking movies.
That's true. You could also do that. But then you'd be like $300 million less rich.
Oh,
I don't know, dude.
So you need to tell that Sony Pictures Entertainment.
Look, I've played the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's basically a movie at this point. So it's like
103, 123, 147. Yeah, they get higher and higher.
The
300 million for Afterlife. Jeez.
I thought the most unrealistic thing was when they go inside the Tokyo simulation and there's a giant GameStop sign as if GameStop exists in Tokyo.
Did you see there was an insurance sign at one
There's
of them?
There's a Carfax sign. Yeah,
that was Carfax. That's what it was.
Yeah.
I was wow.
There's a lot of branding in this fucking thing. The whole time I'm calling it out, it's oh, maybe after we beat these guys, we can relax with a nice Stella Artois or a shock top.
Yeah.
Show me the Carfax.
Yeah.
Just get his throat ripped out.
There's a when they walk into the Tokyo one, not only is there a GameStop sign, there's just a huge Rockstar Energy sign.
Yeah,
it's all right, come on, what are we doing here?
So actually there was a budget cut for the final chapter after this movie. That's interesting.
Wow.
So this is this is the most expensive one.
Yeah,
and
it was
still looks like dog shit.
It dropped to the amount earned dropped on that one from the previous.
Yeah, I believe it.
Every other one was going up. It's because Paul Anderson came back in.
Please tell me that's not the next video game movie we have to watch. Please tell me there's something.
No, there's a gap because there's a 5-year gap between this movie and Final Chapter.
Oh no shit! When did Final Chapter come out?
2017.
Oh my god! So we got Assassin's Creed and Warcraft in between then.
Yeah, we got all that shit.
Oh my god.
So yeah. My last note for this movie, outside of just bitching about Wesker being a Agent Smith ripoff, which I still am appalled by.
By the way, one of the funniest moments is when he's talking on the screen and she just shoots it, and then he just appears on a screen behind them anyway. Ooh.
I mean, someone had to go and click a button to change the monitor after she shot it. No, you will see this.
It's so dumb, dude. I love it.
No, yeah, it's dumb. The whole movie. But there's a part where they're in the Arctic, and this drove me fucking nuts. They're in the Arctic. They come out of this ship. They ambush the good guys or whatever, and then the blonde chick has a gun pointed at Ada Wong in the Arctic, keeping her hostage or whatever. And they're in the fucking Arctic. The Arctic. No one has changed how they're dressing for the Arctic at all. No one put on a fucking light jacket to be ooh, it's a little nippy out there.
Jill has fucking the V-cut shirt down to her fucking navel with a big spider on her fucking chest.
and Ada Wong is still wearing the red dress that's got a big long cut up the leg, and it's lower neckline on it. And all I could think, and the actress doesn't even give a fuck. She doesn't even try to look cold. They're the fucking Arctic, and she's just standing there it's fucking, I don't know, probably a nice temperature controlled environment with a green screen behind them. And no one gives a fuck that it would have been freezing fucking cold right there.
Honestly, the least realistic part to me compared to that is when Michelle Rodriguez goes all AWOL and injects herself with the Los Plagas virus, and then they rescue Jill, and then Jill, instead of shooting Michelle Rodriguez, throws the gun to Alice so that Michelle Rodriguez can very clearly see it happening. And then Michelle Rodriguez just stands there as Alice just shoots the ice around her, and Looney Tunes makes her fall into the water. She doesn't do anything. She just stands there. She's you can't kill me. And she's I don't need to. And she just stands there. She just shoots a big circle around her with the gun. So she falls into the fucking freezing water.
Yeah, that just happens to have a shitload of zombies in it.
And then admittedly a really cool scene where she's under the water and all the zombies are swimming up together, and that's a cool shot.
Yeah, that's a cool shot, yeah.
Yeah. I thought there was a cool door check in there where they were having the fight drive, while they were driving around getting chased. I liked her magic glasses. Barry sacrifice.
Oh, do you mean that? Do you mean where she drifts in the door and opens the door and gets the guy with the fucking motorcycle?
Yeah,
door?
Yeah, that was sweet.
By the way, she just shows up with a really nice car, and she's well, it is Moscow. When they ask where she got a nice ride, and it's is Moscow known for having nice cars? It's got underlighting and everything.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
A lot of street racing there, apparently. I thought the bullets coming out of the fingertips when they shot the shit out of Michelle Rodriguez, I thought that was pretty cool looking.
By the way, how many like Matrix style shots could they have of bullets flying in slow motion in the air, CG'd, and then they hit their target? It happens like 3 times in this movie at least.
Yeah.
Do it like the Matrix, but we'll do it less good.
Yeah. I also
With less
we gotta dial
detail.
back the Matrix ripoffs since the last movie, but not too much.
Yeah, I also
No, I mean the
people
last
know-
one was just Matrix Reloaded. They just tried to do Matrix Reloaded.
yeah.
Vis-a-vis, ergo.
Guys, this is the 31st highest grossing horror film
of all time?
in the world. Yeah.
What's the number
Fuck.
one?
Number 1's It. Number 2 is The Sixth Sense.
It 2017?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
The first It's a TV show, isn't it? It's not even a movie.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And then the third one is I Am Legend. But yeah, and then Resident Evil, one of them is, Resident Evil, the final chapter is the 14th. Worldwide, it's the 14th.
Jesus.
Highest grossing. It's just underneath The Conjuring.
Mm.
So these movies do well in the foreign box office. It does not do very well in the domestic, honestly.
Right.
I don't even think most of them break even, but it does do well foreign box office wise. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why they give you the prologue at the beginning, because it's like German television is probably what's buying up this shit. And it's just like, well, if you haven't seen the first movie, here's a dumb American action movie you can go see. Like,
A lot of
and
it's
they're
China,
just
because a
going
lot of
in.
it's kind of got the same sort of like big dumb CG action sequence shit that China loves. With members.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do love that dog shit. I mean, what are they going to do? They're not allowed to have thought, so that's just what
They need big
they're
things to go
showed.
boom.
Yeah, they need things.
Hot white lady
things to
shoot
go
big
boom.
monster.
Yeah.
That was pretty offensive.
Optimus Prime tell me to drink Mountain Dew.
So yeah, anything else about this movie?
I thought it was funny that it took Alice almost 2 movies to realize that the red tit bug thing was bad. It's pretty clearly.
No, I mean they show that it's bad in the last one. It's just I guess she never got a chance to get close to Jill to take it off of her.
Yeah, and
Until this one.
in that last fight, they really did Luther dirty too. He just like got his chest punched so hard that his heart
Yeah,
stopped.
he got like Kill Bill. Like his heart just stopped.
And he's just dead. Like he's just gone. They don't focus on it for like any amount of
not
time.
at all.
And I'm like, really? This is the one guy that's like kind of an NPC that was left for multiple movies, and now he's dead.
What played him, Tone Loc, or
I don't know what his name is. And then I also said, how many times is Mila Jovovich going to crack during this last fight? Like, she's getting punched, and like every time they land a hit, she's like,
yeah, and they do the Mortal Kombat 9 X-ray thing where it like zooms in on their skeleton and shows their bones breaking,
Yeah.
and their like organs exploding.
yeah, and it's weird because like they do that to one of the dudes, and then he's totally fine. Like they just broke his fucking arm, and he's just still fighting. Yeah, I also asked if she was made out of peanut brittle. That's pretty much the last comment I had.
Well, no, you have to remember that Wesker at the end of the last movie took her like regenerative powers away from the T virus, which he then gives her back them at the end of this movie so she can help defeat the Red Queen. So he like re-injects her with the T virus at the end of this movie.
Yeah, pretty
so
sweet.
Stupid. It's like, yeah, we took her powers away for one movie. And
Yeah, pretty bad movie, guys. I don't recommend it.
I liked the story with Mila Jovovich and like taking over the clone kid. I thought that was good.
what, becoming her mom?
Yeah, because like the clone, in the flashback scene, the little daughter doesn't see the mom die, and she thinks that Mila Jovovich is her mom because Mila Jovovich is her mom. Because they keep running these simulations and they just clone everybody.
Mm.
Which, of course, why they didn't clone Mila Jovovich as like a bisexual horn dog, I will never understand. Because then they could be like,
they probably had a few in reserve.
yeah, and
like
this
that.
one we're gonna have like a 10-way with like 9 Mila Jovoviches just going like.
Also, give her
crazy
more
on
than
my-
a B cup, please, this time.
Yeah, like 9 of them just going to town on me. But yeah, the little clone girl, the deaf girl, thinks she's her mom because she is her mom. She's like the same person. Yeah. And there's like a touching story there. I don't know.
And then they get to the clone room, and she's like, "Wait, you're not my mom, are you?" And she's like, "I am now." And she just grabs her.
Yeah. I don't know.
And zip lines out from an explosion. look, if you've watched the other 4 of these movies, it's worth watching this one just to see where it keeps going. Because at this point, like sunk cost fallacy, you're already this deep in. You might as well watch the last 2. It's just a big, dumb, stupid Hollywood action movie.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds to be like the last word on this piece of shit. I do think it was better than the last one.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
And we got the blunderbuss.
This is my favorite Resident Evil movie.
I like the first one still.
I only stopped paying attention was Ward 30 minutes in. You know.
Although all of the cool scenes that I thought were in the first one aren't really that cool. Like the zombie girl in the water that like opens her eye and puts her hand on the thing.
No, that's in the flashback in the beginning during the monologue.
Yeah, but I mean,
if I had to, Truth Seek's asking about ranking, and I guess I'm the only one here who's watched all 5 of these so far.
No, Schweiss has.
Yeah, I've been here.
Yeah, what's your ranking for these so far, Schweiss?
I don't know.
I would go Apocalypse, the first one, this one, Extinction, and then Afterlife as my ranking so far.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
I don't count that one.
Oh, so it's really bad.
I would probably
that
go.
One's fine. Somewhere in the middle.
Oh.
I would probably put it above Extinction.
Yeah, I'd go first, second. I guess this one, Extinction, and then probably Afterlife.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Welcome to Raccoon City is number 1, but I won't count it either.
I would count this as number 1 of the ones I've seen. This one, and then the first one, I guess.
Come on,
I've only seen that, and then Afterlife, because that's the only ones you've seen.
And Afterlife, and then Welcome to Raccoon City.
Come on.
That's one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Welcome to Raccoon City.
Come on.
That period, exclamation point, like that. Welcome to Raccoon City. It was so bad. It was so bad. I've never deeply wanted to leave a movie theater more than that movie. And honestly, near it is that Three Musketeers movie. So I don't know. There's like a
Isn't that also Paul W.S. Anderson? Yeah.
Yeah, but not Welcome to Raccoon City. But he did make these ones, which makes him like slightly connected.
No, I meant Three Musketeers was also one of his, right?
Yeah, that's one of his. That one was, oh my god, terrible. And I do have
stack up to Monster Hunter.
There was like a friend who's connected to one of these podcasts. It was like one of our listeners who came out of there who loves that movie. And I'm like, I'm still thinking back to it now. Yeah. And I'm still thinking back to it now, and I'm like, what in God's name?
Okay, but
what kind of brain damage has to happen where you actually like the Three Musketeers movie?
Can you at least admit that the first Mortal Kombat movie Paul W.S. Anderson did is better than all of these Resident Evil movies?
Yes.
Okay.
I can admit that. It's still a shit movie. So if we're grading on a curve, then yes, it's a masterpiece.
I'd say
we're not grading on a curve.
But...
Oh, man. Ay. Anyway, really bad.
What do we have next is the real question.
The next movie, as noted upon Trello, is Silent Hill Revelation.
Nice.
Oh, my God. That one's...
We get some John
I watch that
Sneer.
during... So every October in Discord, I stream a horror movie every night. I have like a big website where I put it's like a wheel that I put a bunch of horror movies in, and I spin it, and it lands on a random thing. And we watched Silent Hill Revelations 3D last year, and Jesus fucking Christ, dude. You guys are in for a fucking treat. That movie sucks.
I kind of liked the last Silent Hill movie, to be honest.
No, the first Silent Hill movie is good. This one is not.
The first Silent Hill movie is written by what's his face, Pulp Fiction co-writer.
What? Really?
Yeah.
That's
Oh yeah, Roger Avery. Yeah, it is.
That's fucking bizarre.
That is pretty weird. Yeah. What the fuck?
I don't know who the fuck wrote.
There's
Revelation.
no giant monologue about her watching it, but it is written by him.
Yeah.
Who the fuck wrote Silent Hill Revelation 3D?
I don't know, but after that is Need for Speed, guys. I'm excited to see Need for Speed. I'm curious to see what's his face from Breaking Bad is going to give us there.
Aaron Paul.
Silent Hill Revelations 3D.
You can't save a Final Fantasy movie.
Yeah, but can he save Need for Speed?
I don't actually know what this guy wrote and directed in terms of movies. Solomon Kane, Wilderness. But he did write and direct Ash vs. the Evil Dead, so there's that. And he directed Iron Fist. Well, one of the episodes of Iron Fist. And he directed a few episodes of Ash vs. the Evil Dead. And apparently he's writing and directing the Red Sonja movie, so there's a Conan connection for you there.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of his movies. Wow, okay. Red Sonja remake?
Apparently in 2024, yeah.
Huh.
Sweet.
Interessante.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, I hadn't heard about it until just now, but that'd be cool, I guess.
I mean, we will all be able to make a Conan movie here soon, right?
Yeah, we will.
Yeah. with that sweet 15 frames per second footage from the PS4 version of Conan Exiles.
Yeah. It's also going it's losing its copyright in like a couple years.
Oh, it's going like public domain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Cool. That's cool. That's neat.
We'll get some Conan films.
The rules for public domain are crazy.
So I bought a 360 recently, and I was looking at the games on that thing, and apparently there's just a game called Conan on there. That's like...
Yeah, I
Conan...
own it.
Is it good?
No.
Well...
It's like a really bad God of War, like OG God of War. Yeah, yeah. It's...
No, there is actually a really dumb God of War clone. I don't remember what system it's on. It's like a black guy, and he like goes into like a tomb and finds like these ancient weapons, and it's basically just this shitty God of War. I forget what it's called, but it's like so dumb that it's good almost. I have to look up the name at some point.
Yeah, you better do that.
All right, we got to be ending here. We're starting to just all look at Wikipedia and look shit up.
Oh, I've been doing that the whole time.
All right, guys, you can support us on Patreon. We really appreciate it if you do. We owe 13 months worth of drawings, Schweiss.
Yeah.
In case you wanna ever get on that. We will eventually do them all. So anybody who's on Patreon now, as people slip off, your chances get a lot higher of winning shit. So just stick around for that. And then let's see what else. Oh, check out Ultimate Final Fantasy if you want to hear a 4.5 hour review of Final Fantasy 16. Make sure you support their sponsor Manscaped through the code UFF as well. Let's see what else.
The God of War clone I was thinking of with the black guy is called Marlowe Briggs and the Mask of Death.
Interesting.
So everyone look that up if you want to be a fucking ridiculous God of War clone.
Join our Discord. Link is in the description of the episode, or should be. And I think that's it, guys. The next movie is Silent Hill Revelation. The next game is Ocarina of Time. So look forward to that. We'll see you guys next time.
Until then, live always in the nude.
Walk with your red spider brainwashing device on your chest held high.
Fuck.
Yeah!